Hello, I'm Claire.
And I'm Lizzie, and we're pelvic health physios.
In this session today, we're going to talk about the pelvic floor muscle, its structure and function, how we can improve the strength of the pelvic floor muscle, and why the pelvic floor muscle may get weak throughout womanhood. The pelvic floor is a group of muscles that form a bowl-like structure at the base of the pelvis. And the pelvic floor muscles are there to support the bladder in the front of the pelvis, the uterus in the middle, and the bowels at the back of the pelvis. The pelvic floor muscle runs from the front of the pubic bone, travels underneath the pelvis to the back of the coccyx, and it goes from left to right of the sitting bones. So it has a very important job of supporting and keeping the pelvic organs in the right position. So we know when there's an increase of pressure in the abdomen, the pelvic floor has to brace alongside the tummy muscle. And this pressure can be caused by sneezing, coughing, lifting, carrying, straining, or even a sudden change of position from sitting to standing. So we need that pelvic floor muscle to react and to tighten and to support the pelvic organs. So the pelvic floor muscle really does have an important role, not only in support, but also control of the bladder and the bowel. It also has an important role to enhance sexual function, and also through the attachments of the pelvis, it supports the low back and the pelvis. So the pelvic floor muscle can become weakened, it can become overstretched, or it can become sluggish in its action and slow to respond, or in fact the pelvic floor muscle can become too tight. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to describe pelvic floor changes that are weak and due to an overstretched muscle. So the reasons that the pelvic floor muscle can become overstretched and weak are pregnancy and childbirth, through chronic constipation, which causes straining through the bowels. Also, increased body mass index or being overweight. If you have prolonged or repeated lifting, so in a job or tasks through the home, heavy lifting can contribute to a weakened pelvic floor. Also, we know the menopause and high impact exercise are also can cause the pelvic floor muscle to become weakened. So when you have a weak pelvic floor, this may lead to various problems that you would experience as a woman. So you may experience urinary incontinence or pelvic organ prolapse. So urinary incontinence may present through leakage of urine if you have a sudden sneeze, cough, running, jumping, and you'll have a little bit of leakage of urine. Pelvic organ prolapse may present as a feeling of heaviness down below around the vaginal area, or you may see or feel something around the vagina. I'm now going to pass you over to Lizzie, who's going to discuss pelvic floor strengthening and how best to get this muscle nice and strong. Over to you, Lizzie.
Thank you, Claire. So let's look in a bit more detail at the pelvic floor muscles. Here you'll notice this lovely hammock of muscles. Here's the back passage, we have the vagina, and we have the urethra, and we have the clitoris. So how can we activate these muscles? So we're going to think about the back passage, the vagina, and the front passage. At the back passage, we want to tighten as if we're trying to stop ourselves from passing wind. We want to lift and tighten the vagina. At the front passage, you want to imagine that you're desperate for the toilet and there's a big long queue and you've got to hold on and tighten those muscles. So we want to be zipping in the back passage, the vagina, and the front passage, and you may also feel a little bit of tightening at the lower tummy muscles, and this is okay. However, nobody should know that you're pulling in your pelvic floor apart from you. So we shouldn't be seeing any tightening of the thigh muscles or any lifting and tightening of the buttock muscles, and we shouldn't be holding our breath. All you should be feeling is a lifting and a tightening inside. So, what types of exercise can we do at the pelvic floor now that we know how to activate them? The first type of exercise is the quick squeezes. With this exercise, we want to quickly squeeze and lift and tighten the back passage, the vagina and the front passage. We want to lift tightly and let go and then wait a second. We want to lift firmly, tighten and wait a second. Let's have another go. We're going to tighten the back passage, vagina and front passage quickly, let go and wait a second. And you might start off, if you're new with pelvic floor exercises, just doing 5 repetitions. As you get more confident, you could build up to 10 repetitions of the quick squeezes. The second type of exercise is the long holds. These are really important for building some strength and some endurance at the pelvic floor muscles, and for giving us some support at the pelvic girdle, and for giving us control of our bladder and helping to support the pelvic organs. For this exercise, again, we're zipping in the back passage, vagina and front passage, but we're going to lift and we're going to hold those muscles. And then we're going to let go. So it's really important that you are in control and you can feel the lift, and that you feel those muscles holding on, and that you are in control of relaxing and letting go those muscles, and you feel them let go. Let's try that again. We're going to lift and tighten and hold for 1, 2, 3, and let go. And at the start, this might feel like the muscles are very weak, and it might feel difficult to hold the muscles, and that's okay. But as you get stronger and more confident, you can build up to a 10-second hold. Have several seconds rest, and repeat that 10 times. Again, it's important not to hold your breath when you're doing the exercises. And if it's a struggle to keep breathing, you can try pulling in the muscles whilst you breathe out. Let's have a go at doing that. So we can take a deep breath in, and as you breathe out, and relax and let go. To start off with, if it's difficult to do the exercises, you could lay down on your side on the bed or on the back. Or you could do it in sitting with good support. But as you become more confident, it's really important to have a go doing the exercises standing, because this will challenge the pelvic floor muscles and help to get them stronger. You might do them when you're brushing your teeth. You might do them when you're washing the pots or pushing a child on a swing. You can then progress to doing it when you're walking. Overall, we want to do 10 quick squeezes and 10 long holds 3 times a day. And some people find it really helpful to have prompts, such as post-it notes, reminders. You can get apps for the tablets or for the phone, or just set alarms on your phone. And all this is really important to remind you when to do the exercises. Finally, we want to do some functional work with our pelvic floor. As Claire said, there are times in the day when our pelvic floor will be more challenged, when there's more load and more pressure. So when we cough, we want to squeeze and tighten the pelvic floor. When we sneeze, we want to squeeze and tighten the pelvic floor. If you're a pregnant lady, every time you stand up, you want to squeeze and engage and tighten those pelvic muscles every time you stand up. Or if you're somebody who's a new mother and you have a young baby or a little toddler, every time you go to lift and bend and pick up, engage those pelvic floor muscles and remind them that they should be working. Or in your day-to-day activities at work or at home, if you're lifting heavy objects, engage those pelvic floor muscles. However, they shouldn't be tightened all day long. It's really important that if you're sitting and you are resting and you're not coughing or exercising, these muscles should be relaxed, so that when you need them, when you do cough or stand up, they're ready for action and ready to engage.